Rain poured heavily over the city that night, blurring headlights into streaks of gold and red on the slick streets. Inside the quiet corner of a small Italian restaurant, Emma sat alone at a candlelit table, nervously glancing at the clock on the wall. The man she was supposed to meet, a blind date arranged by her best friend, was already 20 minutes late. She stirred her glass of water, watching the condensation trickle down, and wondered for the 100th time why she'd agreed to this. Her heart wasn't ready for another disappointment. Not after what happened last year, not after how everything had ended. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unexpected love, then please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, because what happens next will remind you that sometimes destiny just runs a little late. Emma was about to leave when the door opened, and a man rushed in, drenched from the rain, shaking off his coat with an apologetic smile. He was tall, probably in his mid-30s, with dark hair that clung to his forehead and eyes that carried both warmth and exhaustion. "You must be Emma," he said softly, slightly out of breath. His name was Daniel. From the moment he sat down, Emma could sense something different about him. He wasn't trying to impress her with charm or compliments. He was quiet, gentle, almost cautious, like someone who had seen too much and learned to move carefully through life. Their conversation started awkwardly, with small talk about work and favorite foods, but soon the awkwardness turned into genuine curiosity. She found herself laughing at his self-deprecating jokes and noticing the sadness he tried to hide behind his smiles. But just as things began to feel comfortable, Emma's phone buzzed, a message from her ex-fiancé. It was short, meaningless, but it brought back a flood of memories she had fought so hard to bury. She lost focus, her laughter faded, and Daniel noticed. "You look like you've seen a ghost," he said kindly. Emma forced a smile and brushed it off, but the rest of the evening felt heavy. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was betraying her past just by sitting there. When Daniel offered to walk her out, she politely refused and left alone, her heels clicking sharply against the wet pavement. That night, as she rode home in silence, she thought about Daniel. The way his eyes softened when he talked about his daughter. The way he'd listened when she spoke. He had told her only briefly that he was a single father, raising a 6-year-old named Lily. But it was the way he said her name, with pride and tenderness, that stuck in Emma's mind long after she went to bed. Still, Emma convinced herself that the date had been a mistake. She wasn't ready. She told her friend the next day that it didn't click, and asked her not to set her up again. What she didn't know was that Daniel too had gone home thinking he wasn't good enough for someone like her. Weeks passed, life returned to its gray rhythm. Emma threw herself into work as a children's book illustrator, pouring her emotions into soft watercolor worlds that felt safer than reality. Her new project was about a little girl who believed her father's bedtime stories could change the world. Every time she painted the father character, she unconsciously drew Daniel's eyes, the same warm sadness, the same quiet strength. She tried to stop herself but couldn't. Something about him lingered like a melody she couldn't forget. Then, one rainy afternoon, fate found her again. Emma had just finished delivering her sketches to a local children's event at the community library, when she heard a small voice behind her say, "Excuse me, are you Miss Emma?" She turned and saw a little girl clutching a pink umbrella almost too big for her small frame. Big hazel eyes, a shy smile. It was Lily. Before Emma could respond, Daniel appeared, slightly out of breath, carrying a tote bag full of storybooks. Their eyes met in. Stunned silence. For a moment, it felt like time folded in on itself. He smiled, embarrassed. "Well, this is unexpected." Emma laughed nervously, her heart pounding. "You didn't tell me your daughter was a mind reader." Daniel chuckled, rubbing the back of his neck. "She dragged me here because she wanted to see the library's art exhibit. I didn't realize it was yours." As it turned out, Lily was a huge fan of the children's books Emma had illustrated. She pointed excitedly at the posters, recognizing the characters, and then tugged at her father's sleeve. "Daddy, that's her, the one from your favorite story." Emma froze, confused. Daniel turned red, quickly shushing his daughter, but Lily went on, her voice full of innocent excitement. "You always tell me that story before bed. The one about the lady who lost her smile but found it again when she met the man with kind eyes. You said it's your favorite because it's real. There was a stunned silence. Emma looked at Daniel and he looked at her, both realizing what the little girl had just revealed. His favorite story was their brief, imperfect date, the one she thought he'd forgotten, the one she regretted. For a moment, Emma didn't know what to say. Her eyes softened as she looked at Lily, then at Daniel. There was so much unspoken between them, so much left unsaid. They spent the rest of the afternoon together, walking through the library as Lily darted from shelf to shelf, holding both their hands like she'd known Emma forever. It felt strange and yet perfectly natural. Daniel watched Emma with quiet admiration as she knelt beside Lily, explaining the pictures in a book. It was the first time in years he'd seen Lily so open with someone new. Over the next few weeks, they kept bumping into each other, at the park, at the local bakery, at school events. Emma started volunteering for art activities at Lily's school, and each time she saw Daniel, the invisible wall between them crumbled a little more. She discovered the truth behind his gentle eyes. His wife had passed away when Lily was 3. He'd raised his daughter alone while running a small architecture firm, sacrificing his dreams to give her stability. And Daniel discovered the truth. Behind Emma's quiet strength, she had once been engaged to a man who left her when her career took off, telling her she was too focused on children's fantasies to be serious about life. That heartbreak had closed her off, but Daniel's kindness reopened something fragile inside her. Slowly, without realizing it, Emma became a part of their little world. Lily adored her, always asking, "When is Miss Emma coming again?" And each time Daniel saw his daughter light up, he felt his own heart heal a little. One evening, they were all baking cookies in Daniel's kitchen when Lily, with flour on her nose, looked up and said, "Daddy, can Miss Emma be in our family picture?" The room fell silent. Emma's hand froze midair, and Daniel's eyes met hers across the counter. In that moment, everything unspoken was loud enough to fill the room. After Lily went to bed, Daniel walked Emma to her car. The night was cool and quiet, the moon hanging low over the trees. "You know," he said softly, "I didn't expect any of this. I thought that night, our date, was the end of something. But maybe it was the beginning." Emma smiled, her eyes glistening. Sometimes the stories we give up on find their own way back. They stood there for a long moment, and when Daniel reached for her hand, she didn't pull away. For the first time in years, Emma felt safe. Months passed, and the three of them became inseparable. They took small trips together, painted murals at Lily's school, and spent Sunday mornings making pancakes and laughing at the mess. The emptiness that once haunted Emma's heart was slowly replaced by warmth, laughter, and belonging. One evening, as the golden light of sunset filled Daniel's living room, he showed Emma something. It was a worn-out notebook, the one he used to write bedtime stories for Lily. Inside was a story titled, "The Woman Who Found Her Smile Again." As Emma flipped through the pages, her breath caught. The story was about her, or rather about a woman who reminded Daniel of her. Every word carried his quiet affection, every line a reflection of the hope she'd unknowingly given him. "I wrote it after that night," Daniel admitted. "Lily loved it, and it became our favorite story. I didn't think I'd ever get to tell you." Tears welled up in Emma's eyes as she closed the notebook and whispered, "I guess your story came true." Daniel smiled, his voice low and full of emotion. "Only because you walked back into it." And in that small, sunlit room, surrounded by laughter and memories, Emma realized that sometimes love doesn't arrive when you expect it. It arrives when you're finally ready to see it. The regret she once felt turned into gratitude. Every heartbreak, every lonely night had led her here, to a man who saw her not as broken but as beautiful in her healing. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Let this story remind you that no matter how broken your past is, love can still find you when you least expect it. Special request, comment below with "I still believe in second chances" if you felt the emotion in this story. That night, as Emma tucked Lily into bed while Daniel watched from the doorway, Lily whispered, half asleep, "Daddy, I told you she's the one from your story." Emma smiled through her tears and looked at Daniel. He simply nodded, his eyes saying everything words couldn't. And in that quiet moment she knew. This time, it wasn't just a story. It was home.